Will Appalachian State do what Appalachian State does? Will they do what they does? That's a great question for us Clemson fans. Will they upset Clemson? I'm going to talk about that and more in just a second. Welcome to the channel. Happy Wednesday, September the 4th to you. I hope you're having a good one. Like a Wes Goodwin. Only hopefully you have an offense that can back you up. I know, sore subject. I'm glad you're here. If you enjoy talking college football, enjoy talking Clemson football, I hope you'll stick around. Subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I really do appreciate it. A lot of you, wow, you just outdone yourself. A lot of subscribers subscribing and doing their things, and I'm just in a quirky little mood today. So I'm going to dive right into this. Clemson plays Appalachian State this Saturday in Death Valley. It will be the home opener for Clemson, 8 o'clock on the ACC network. Clemson is a 17-point favorite going into this game. But let's just have a little fun here. Imagine you wanted to play a sick joke on a football team who used to own college football, a team that went to six consecutive college football playoffs. Let's imagine you wanted to play a sick joke on them after they after they're coming off. Guys, I can't talk. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't speak. So let's kind of start this over. Imagine you wanted to play a sick joke on a team that used to be extremely powerful, but now they're just not. They're not as powerful as they once were, and they're just coming off of a blowout loss to a team that used to, they would go head-to-head with, and the best man would win. You would play that sick joke on them by scheduling Appalachian State right after that game. And followed by the Appalachian State game would be NC State, a team who doesn't have a defense. In fact, they're opposite of Clemson. They really don't have a defense. They have a couple of good defensive players here and there, but they really don't have a defense. But they have the offense. So it's like flip script, right? So you have this team who is notorious for upsets. NC State is not Appalachian State. NC State is a team that is trying to get everybody's attention in this ACC craziness that's going on. But they're after App State. So you have App State who beat Michigan in 2007. Pause there. Those players are not playing this Saturday. They're gone. 2 years ago, Appalachian State went to Texas A&M and beat Jimbo in College Station. That Appalachian State team was 6-6. They were nothing to write home about. They are notorious for upsets. They've had other bigger wins in the past other than those, but those are two of the ones that sticks out the most. Now, the question in all of this, and I just saw something with Clemson just go across. That's nothing big. I'm just going to set this over here and not talk about it anymore. Is the Appalachian State. Appalachian State, they have a reputation of beating teams they don't supposed to beat. Now, let's talk about Appalachian State. They're in Boone, North Carolina. They're going to travel 3.5 to maybe 3 hours and 45 minutes from Boone to Clemson, South Carolina. I want to share some pictures. I went to Boone, North Carolina last year to the Coastal Carolina game. My oldest, he loves Coastal Carolina. He's a South Carolina fan. That's the only bad thing about my oldest. My oldest is a great kid. But he's a big Coastal Carolina fan as well. I enjoy going to Coastal games down in Conway, but I wanted to see them play in Boone at Appalachian State. I'd heard some really good things about the area, and I'm going to tell you, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was odd. I think it was October the 10th. It was on a Tuesday night, so I'm going to share a couple of pictures. None of my children will be in it, even though my oldest is now 18. This was pregame, but it's such a pretty picture. I mean, that right there, it's cut into a mountain. It's really beautiful. About a 30,000 seat capacity. look at that over. You can see the mountains in the background. It was just a really, really nice evening. Of course, Coastal won that in a walk-off field goal. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time that night. And by the way, we were sitting with Appalachian State fans. We had great seats, but they treated us very well. They were very kind. They were very welcoming. You can tell that football means a lot to them, and that little school up there in the mountains means a lot to them. So I have a lot of respect for Appalachian State. This is prime time for Clemson. This is a prime time for Appalachian State. They just beat East Tennessee State last week. East Tennessee State's not that far. They're over in Johnson City, Tennessee, so they're not too far from Appalachian State. Clemson is licking its wounds. It is disoriented. There's a lot of questions of what's going on. We thought this was fixed. Hey, we had a 5-game winning streak last year, including an emotional Gator Bowl win. I thought things were better. I thought we brought in Matt Luke. I thought that Garrett Riley in his second year with Cade was going to be incredible. And 31-point loss later, again, we're sitting here trying to figure out what's going on. This is the perfect time for Appalachian State to come into Clemson, South Carolina, a place where Clemson really doesn't lose that much. Last year, they lost to Florida State. And the year before that, they lost to South Carolina at home. That was Clemson's first home loss in forever. Forever. If you're old enough, you know that who I'm referencing there. Outcast. But my point in this is that Clemson is a prime target for an upset. Now, let's talk about Appalachian State. Let's talk about their team, who they're returning, because I saw them play. I thought overall they did pretty well last year. And I'll go through their season, pulling this up right now. Phil Steele's book. I love to use the digital format. I'm not affiliated with Phil Steele, but he does a great job. Last year they were 9-5. And of their losses, they lost to North Carolina 40-34. They lost to Wyoming 22-19. I was at the Coastal, lost 27-24. They lost to Old Dominion 28-21. And then they went on to win out the rest of the season, including wins over James Madison, Georgia State, Marshall, Southern Miss, Georgia Southern. Earlier in the season, they beat East Carolina. They went on to their Sun Belt Conference title and lost big time to Troy. Troy was a machine last year. They were 9-5. The year before that, that's when they beat Texas A&M 17-14. The week before that, they lost 63-61 in that shootout against the North Carolina Tar Heels. And it was just an interesting season, because you would think within those first two games, the way they performed, they would have had a better season. But it was 6-6. Season before that, 10-4. Season before that, 9-3, and before that, 13-1. Appalachian State over the past 2 years has been rebuilding. Now, they returned roughly 5 starters on the offense, 6 on the defense, and they lost Nate Noel. Nate Noel was their leading rusher, and if my memory serves me correct, he is now with Eli Drinkwitz over at Missouri. I want to say that Drinkwitz actually recruited him in. I could be wrong. Y'all forgive me if I am wrong. But they do return Kanye Roberts with 711 rushing yards. 711 rushing yards. And then 3 different players, including their quarterback, who I'll get to in just a second, who had over 300 yards rushing. So the team do run the ball solid. I mean, they're a solid rushing team. I always say rushing because I always feel like I'm calling them a Russian team, and then all of a sudden it's a whole other subject. They do return Joey Aguilar. This guy's 6'3", 220 pounds at quarterback. He is a good football player. I've seen him play in person. He has, he has a lot of talent. The guy can play, And I'm trying to pull up his passing yards from last year, but for some reason, I am just totally missing it. Folks, I am not batting on much today, so y'all forgive me. Oh, he threw for 3,757 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. So they're a higher powered offense. Yes, they're in the Sun Belt, but Appalachian State has a good reputation for a reason. They are coached by Sean Clark. I think this is his 5th year. He's going into his 5th year, if I'm understanding correctly. But this team has the ability to come in and take advantage of Clemson and just where the Tigers are at. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to get into the comments section. There's a bunch of you in here. Hope you'll subscribe. Normally, I don't ramble this bad, and I have my thoughts together a little more, but this one has been whacked out, y'all. I won't even go into it, but it has been whacked out, and I was like, I'm going to start this video, and as soon as I started the video, or about to, the landscapers came next door to my neighbors, and they just fired up. I believe the blower was right out here, and he was like, let's just turn it on high and see if we can annoy those people. Well, you did. You did. I'm going to get in here and say may there to a few people. Chase Henderson finally making it in here, my friend. Chase is in here. Chase, you see that symbol beside his name? Chase has been a friend of the show for a very long time. Going back to the Bobby Durkins days, everybody, Bobby Durkins is back. Go check out his channel. But it's good to see you, Chase. It's always good to see you. Normally, your sister's in here. I call the Henderson brothers Henderson sisters just for fun. But it's good to see you, buddy. Glad you're in here live. I know your schedule's crazy. Roger Parks, hi friends. Roger is a supporter of the channel too. Thank you so much, my friend, for hopping in here. Lock it up, Brian. Yeah, I know. I'm just struggling. Let's get in here and say hello to a few more people. I'll get back on topic. Christian, good to see you. Yes, they do have a good offense. Rustastic, nope. Clemson is going to have a tough time of it, but I believe they will pick it up. Midnight Sermon, I'm taking App State. Will definitely grow either way. Still think unless Grisham has a miracle growth period out of nowhere, he'll likely need to. This will be a good team. All right. Doc Snickelfritz, I love the name. I would like to see Pearman as the starting QB. I don't know, my friend. I don't know. I think the problems goes beyond quarterback. I believe it goes beyond quarterback. I have taken up for Cade. There's so much I could say about this past week in Cade's performance. Cade is the easy scapegoat, just like DJ is the easy scapegoat for why Florida State's doing poor. If you go and you watch Florida State play, I know it's a different team, but just using this as an example, Florida State's losing games for more reasons than DJ. Their defense is not good. Their defense is not good, and their offensive line is questionable. Their offensive line, in fact, looks like Clemson's offensive line, especially last year. I think Clemson's offensive line got a little better. They did progress. With that said, their offensive line looks bad. So it's easy to pick at DJ and blame everything on him because of the history and everything going on. Just like with Cade, everybody's going after Cade transparently. Could things be better? Yes, but I'm going back to play calling. I'm sorry. Play calling is the issue. You have to be creative. And I'm just not seeing that. Big John, have we flushed last Saturday? I have. I know that Bobby flushed because Tuesday is his flush day. That's right. It's his flush day. Big John, supporter of the channel. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. I appreciate it, my friend, being in here. Jim Edwards, Appalachian State enrollment over 21,000. Yeah, fantastic. App State would beat Florida State, possibly. Angie Ledbetter, my trash-talking Georgia friend. No way they beat Clemson. You never know. FSU fan here still following despite our team's lack of faith. Still love my Noles in college football. I bet so, my friend. It's a tough one for y'all. May there, Bobby Durkins, App State 17, Clemson 10. Call it. I'm not convinced we can 100% beat App State, the official T. Interesting. John Dry, hey y'all to you. Of you who are concerned about Cade, watch the quarterback breakdown by Aaron Murray. It's very good and shows that the game wasn't as bad as the score. J. Rowe, if we win by 40, we'll have a good season. Okay. All right. I'm going to dive right back in here and keep keep talking about Appalachian State. I'm going to turn the comment section off so I can't see it, because if I can see it, I can't pay attention. There's 86 of you in here on lunch, or you're working with your AirPods in, or you're driving down the road. I don't want you to get in trouble or wreck your car, but if you're in a place to hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe, drop me a line in here. I hope you will. You know why? Because it's great to hear from you. Even if I don't get to respond, it is great to hear from you. I'm glad you're in here. It's a lot of fun. All right. So let's talk about this. Let's go back to a statement that I made. Appalachian State has a historical reputation of beating teams they don't supposed to beat. The 2007 game, that was unbelievable. It was a lot of fun. It lives in infamy. That team is not playing at Appalachian State. The team that went 6-6 2 years ago, but they beat Texas A&M in College Station, and the week before went toe-to-toe in a 120-plus point game between them and North Carolina. Some of those players are still with the team, but not all of them. What my point is that Clemson knows this is their first home game of the season. It's at night. The Valley is going to be rocking. But this is one of the worst losses in the history of Dabo Swinney's coaching era, ever. He lost by 31 points. Think, he lost 70-33 to West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. Now, when you think of 70-33, and you see those numbers, the math starts getting whompy. That's a 37-point win. Or a 37-point loss for Clemson, 37-point win for West Virginia. Clemson lost by 31 this past week. So here you are going into this game against a team who historically thrives off of playing big teams. They're like, we're this little mountain team, and we love beating people we don't supposed to beat. No matter what year it is, no matter who's coaching us, no matter who's playing for us, maybe we can get into the heads of our opponents. This would be a banner win for Appalachian State. Can you imagine what it would do to Clemson? Like, you can explain away Georgia. You can say, hey, they're Georgia. But what would be the response to a loss to App State? So as we're getting closer and closer to the 20-minute mark of this video, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen Saturday. I believe Appalachian State's going to come out and they're going to play us hard, and I believe they're going to play us well. But there's one thing that Clemson had that even Georgia had a lot of problems with. Remember, at halftime it was 6-0. At the end of the first quarter, it was 0-0. Clemson's defense is the difference between them being 9-3, 8-4, or a 5-7 football team. Clemson's defense has been saving Clemson football's butt for a while now. This is season 4. Season 4. So, Clemson's defense is going to come out, and it will be the best defense the Appalachian State plays all season. I'm looking at their schedule right now. This is the biggest game that Appalachian State will play all year. So they just played Eastern Tennessee State. They're playing Clemson this Saturday. They play East Carolina, South Alabama, Liberty. Liberty is a good football team, but still, you have Marshall, Louisiana, Georgia State, Old Dominion, Coastal Carolina, James Madison, and Georgia Southern. Clemson's defense is going to hit these guys in the mouth, and they're going to hit them hard. I believe that we can effectively run the football against this team. This is one of those games that I was referencing in the preseason when someone told me, hey, this is really negative. And I was like, what do you mean this is really negative? What do you mean it's really negative? Because I just said that Maffa by himself equals 9 wins. Maffa is that good to win 9 games in our schedule, 9 games of our 12-game regular season schedule, by just feeding the rock to him 25 times. Bada bing. In the games that I said that you're going to have to worry about, and that was before I saw them, 2 of these teams play, would be NC State, Florida State, and Georgia. Well, we saw Georgia do exactly what I said they were going to do. They were going to lock down on Phil Maffa. And they did, and you can't blame Phil for that. To a point, you can't even blame our offensive line for that. Had to block better. Okay. Well, we should have called plays better and had a better scheme and had better adjustments. Georgia can do it. A lot of other teams can do it offensively. How is it that Clemson can't? Another video, another time. But this is one of the games that I said that we can run the football and impose our will. So between that and Clemson's defense, Clemson wins this ball game. Now, am I going to give you a score? I'll give you somewhere in the field of 28-10, 28-14. Clemson wins this ball game. I think somewhere. I don't think that they'll quite cover the 17-point spread. Could be wrong. Hope I'm wrong. I'm still calling that Clemson wins, folks. But Appalachian State's offense, even with Clemson's defense being that good, they are not a joke. I watched them play last year. I just gave you their numbers. They're running the ball effectively. They're passing the ball effectively. Aguilar can throw the football. He can move. He's not one of these midgets that's running around that's 5'6" that everybody is going to talk about what a great athlete they are until they have to pass the football. We've seen that dual threat quarterback type that's not really a quarterback. It's a guy who can run really well, who can kind of throw the ball. That's not Aguilar. This guy can actually throw the football. He can actually, his offense can actually effectively run the football. Good Lord, I just told you, he had over 300 yards rushing and not too far from 4,000 yards passing. So I saw him play in person. I've watched him play games on television. This team is going to move the football on Clemson. But I think just the strength of Clemson's defense is going to make this game their first W of the season. Got Tiger Man in here. Tiger Man, it's good to see you, my friend. Only 28 points up. Yeah, I really think so. I think Clemson's offense is that abysmal at this point. I really, really do. Could be wrong. I'm just going to fire through here. I'm going to miss some of you. Jermani Jones, the ACC, is it bad FSU and Clemson just started? It happens. We got caught looking ahead last Saturday. Maybe so. Playing hooky, Roger Parks. William Lees, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you in here. Rob Ellen, that loss to WV West Virginia was painful, but it made Dabo go get Venables. I'm hoping that this past loss, just a few days ago, is going to be that moment for Clemson. Because I'll take that. If Clemson has to have a crappy season this year, for everything's to shake up, however that may need to transpire, to get Clemson back on the path of winning championships is the goal, and it's not only a goal, it's actually being accomplished, I'll gladly take it. Sometimes you have to have a short-term loss to have a long-term gain. Going through here, we better see Dabo hold the offense accountable. We'll see. Mike 3883, Clemson will win. Stephen P. Dabo should have them practicing at 4 a.m. every day. Martin, Clemson will be fine, played a great first half. They did play a great first half. I wish we could have stopped the game at halftime. Christian, 30-20. Definitely would not take this game for granted. I hope Cade wakes up. Let's see. Crappy season this last year, more like last four. Folks, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you think Appalachian State wins this game? Now, I'm going to tell you, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Appalachian State wins. And I'm not giving you the old Bobby Dodd, anyone could win on any Saturday. No, mentally where Clemson's at, plus Appalachian State's reputation and their desire to beat teams that they don't supposed to beat. And then you throw in there that NC State is the game, next week. It's interesting. Or I say it's next week. Aren't they off? They're off on the 14th. So never mind. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. It's not the next week. It's the week after. So, well, folks, let me know what you think. I hope you'll subscribe. Thank you all who have subscribed. Thank you for doing that. My goal was to get 4,000 subscribers by August 31st. As of today, I'm over 4,600 and barreling towards 5,000. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. I'm just a guy hanging out here talking about my favorite team, talking about college football. Drop me a line in here, say hello. If you do want to support on a monthly basis, there's a join button below the video. $3 or $5, you choose. Hey, listen, I appreciate anything. I just appreciate a free subscription. So I'm glad that you're here. Drop a line, say hello. You take care of yourself. And as always, go Tigers.